Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. It's so good to see all of you. I wanted to come in this morning and just say hello, first of all, and also to share a thought that I had. It relates to a conversation that I had with a young person about going to work every day and the stress of going to work and just what people go through in their lives and just different ways of approaching life that I've seen make a big difference in terms of your outcomes. Here's the deal. There are a lot of people who are just sad. There are a lot of people who don't like the way the world treats them. They don't like capitalism because, unfortunately, capitalism has millions of people that get stuck in the underbelly of it. My heart goes out to those who feel this way. I talked to this 18-year-old. Actually, I think he's 20, and I was talking to him about discipline. And one of the things I mentioned to him was that in this world, you basically have two types of people. You've got the people who are self-disciplined, and then you got the people who need to be disciplined. You got the people who can push themselves to do what they need to do so they can get what they need to have. And then you have the people who, if they're not pushed, are not going to do anything. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. And what I find is that the people who are self-disciplined are the ones who are most likely to be economically free. The self-disciplined people are the ones who do the work in advance so that nobody ever has to force them to do the work. The self-disciplined people are the ones who save their money so that their money can save them and if they run into a financial emergency. Self-disciplined people are the ones who eat right so they don't end up with a bunch of doctor's bills and a bunch of bad news later on in life. And what I find is that those who are not self-disciplined eventually find themselves in a situation that can only be compared to slavery. People who are not self-disciplined are the ones who don't save their money. So when they do need money, they're forced to go be a slave for someone in order to get money. Undisciplined people are people who don't eat right, so that later on they get hammered with doctor's bills and trips to the hospital and all these problems because of a lack of preparation. Undisciplined people, unfortunately, are the ones where if you want something from them, you have to have them do the work first, and then you pay them after they do the work. You can't pay them in advance and expect that they're going to do the work because the discipline's not there. And what I want you to really do is kind of reflect on this a little bit and kind of connect this. I want you to reflect and connect. And so what we're going to do is reflect on this and really connect this to outcomes in life. A lot of us really hate going to work every day. We hate being told what to do. We hate being forced to become these corporate slaves for other people. And one of the things I can tell you is that ways to prevent these things are preparation. When you prepare and you're investing for your child when they're young, they never have to work for anybody. If you invested literally as much in your child's future as you invest in that car note, in that cell phone, as much as you invest in cheerleading camp and football camp, then your child would never have to work for anybody. But because a lot of us don't embrace self-discipline, these things emerge, and then we find out how stressful it is for them later on down the line. And I just want you to really reflect on self-discipline and as a method for protecting and defending your freedom. If you are self-disciplined, then the world does not have to discipline you. And what do I mean by that? Well, the way I explained it to the 20-year-old is I said, look, man, if you do the work and you get the work done, and I know that you're a consistent worker, then I can trust you. I can pay you extra money. I can pay you in advance, stuff like that. And I said, but when I get a sense that you're going to be lazier if I don't pay you in advance, that you're going to be lazier if I decide to trust you, then guess what? I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to pay you in advance. I'm not going to give you the honor system because you're not operating with honor. But if I know that you're going to do the job and everything else, then you can make money from people just knowing that if you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. And I really think that there is a lack of discipline that's been embraced in certain sides of our community. I think that hip hop is built on a significant lack of discipline. I think that's why hip hop is paying such a huge price right now because of some of the undisciplined behavior of many rappers over the last 30 years. I think that the culture of, I'm gonna basically stay in the bed and do nothing until massa forces me to get up and go to work at 9 a.m. Is a culture that is anti-wealth. I think it's something that keeps you from reaching your potential. Whereas if you could get yourself up at 9 a.m. and start working early in the morning and work on that business or work on that investment or plan ahead or do what is required, then you wouldn't have to be in a situation where someone had to make you do it. Now, what I want to do really quickly is I want to do a sound check. Can you give me a quick yes in the chat if you can hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm the author of a new book. It's a best-selling book called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. I'm a finance professor. If you want to take a look at the book, you can go to drboycebooks.com. Also, my wife is a therapist, and so we do lots of work on love and money and things like that. We created the first ever, no institutions ever created this, but the Black Business School created the first ever Black financial therapy department because I hope you agree with me when I say that there are significant mental health issues that are barriers to Black wealth. Everybody wants to talk about the economics, but nobody wants to talk about the psychology of the economics. Nobody wants to talk about what's going on with our mental health that's causing us to not make the decisions we need to make, or that's causing us to compete rather than collaborate. Nobody's talking about the psychology that's causing us to swim in undiagnosed, untreated trauma, which is keeping us from being able to reach our fullest potential, keeping us from being able to build strong families, keeping us from being able to work together. So anyway, thank you for giving me the sound check. Good morning, Val West. It's good to see you. And just say something, chat. Let me know you can hear me because I know it's early in the morning and I don't know who else is up with me this morning. What's going on, Elijah? So let me just kind of give you my theory on this. This is just my Dr. Boyce theory. Some people are gonna get it. Some people are gonna just be offended by it, and I'm used to that. So don't worry. Don't waste your time insulting me. You can just go somewhere else. It's totally fine. My theory on self-discipline is this. If you can't discipline yourself, the world is going to discipline you. If you can't discipline yourself, the world is going to discipline you. Your self-discipline is the creator and the defender of your freedom. People who can't be self-disciplined end up getting disciplined by the world. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about people you know where they get up every morning and go to work. They get there on time. When their boss says jump, they say how high. When there's an emergency or a crisis, they move into crisis mode. They immediately jump on top of everything and start handling business. Whenever it's time to go to work and get that paycheck, or they're tight on money, they will work as hard as they need to work. But then when it comes time for them to do things that are self-discipline, where they don't have a boss forcing them to do something, they suddenly go into lazy mode. Or when the football coach is not barking at you and making you prepare for your future, you're not doing nothing. You're chilling, you're sleeping, you're relaxing, you're drinking, smoking weed, hanging out, chasing women. Think about that. I want you to think about people who can only be disciplined. Pay attention now. I want you to understand this is a subtle point. I hope you get it. I want you to think about people who can only be disciplined if they're forced to be disciplined. And I need you to really process this, because you know who else is in that category where they're completely undisciplined when they're making their own decisions, but they're very disciplined when they're forced to be disciplined. You know who else acts like that? Prison inmates. Prison inmates. If you go to prison, you'll see a lot of really disciplined men. You really will see a lot, and women. You'll see a lot of really disciplined people that are in jail. Why? Well, because the security guard basically says, if you get out of line, if you don't do what we say, we're going to pull out this billy club and crack it upside your head. If you don't do what we say, we're going to put you in solitary. If you don't do what we say, there's going to be negative incentives for you to comply with our instructions. And it's interesting to me. Prison is interesting to me because think about this. There are people in prison, when they were in the streets, they was wilding out. When they was out in the streets, they had no self-discipline. They was into the drugs, maybe committing crimes. Wasn't really trying to really accomplish and didn't want to go to school, right? Just completely undisciplined. And now society is disciplining you because you cannot discipline yourself. Do you understand? And in America, prison inmates are slaves. That's what they are. That's the 13th Amendment says it. You can be made into a slave if you're convicted of a crime. So I think that what you got to look at is beyond actual prison and think about the corporate prison. Think about the corporate plantation. Think about how many people are super disciplined when it comes to doing things for their boss, but are highly undisciplined when it comes to doing things for themselves. They can do whatever Massa tells them to do because Massa's dangling that paycheck. Massa made it clear, I don't care about you. If you don't show up, then you don't get paid. If you don't work the way I tell you to work for as long as I tell you to work, boy, then I'm not going to give you nothing. But then that same person who's super disciplined for Massa has no discipline when it comes to being their own boss. They say, oh, I'm gonna work on my business today at 9, and then they wake up about 11, and then they say I'm gonna work for 7 straight hours, but then they work about an hour and a half, and then they Netflix and chill, get on the phone with some girl, whatever, and then you get distracted. Why? Well, because there's no penalties, there's no consequences for you to be undisciplined, and then what happens is that eventually the business fails, you don't reach your goals, you don't hold it down, you don't handle your responsibilities, and next thing you know, you got to go back to work. I know a lot of people like that who got to go back to work. They wanted to be free. They wanted to be independent, but they had less discipline when they were independent than they had when they were working for somebody. So they need to work for somebody in order to be forced to do things. And so to me, I would say to you that this is a reflection I would encourage you to have, to understand that that self-discipline is a defender of your freedom. There is no country, there is no human being anywhere in the history of this world that's been completely free that did not have to defend that freedom with some type of discipline. If a family has enough wealth to be financially free, they have to be disciplined in protecting and defending that wealth, because what they're protecting and defending is their freedom. If they get sloppy, let me know if you get what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you follow this. If they get sloppy and irresponsible and start wasting their money like the Vanderbilts did, then guess what? Their money might be gone. Their money, and if their money's gone, then guess what? They all got to go back to work. They all got to go back into slavery and servitude, because they did not have the discipline to defend their economics. So I just want to encourage you to really process this. The difference between freedom and slavery. There's two types of people in this world. There's people that can be self-disciplined, and then there are people who are only disciplined when they're forced to be disciplined. And I think that's very dangerous for Black people, because being disciplined by others, unfortunately, puts you in a really tough, stressful, subordinated position. I mean, the stress that people experience going to work is literally, according to studies, that's what kills Black men. Black men die early because of the stress that they experience when they go to work every day. That stress you experience at work every day, it causes the heart disease. The stress at work causes the cancers. The stress at work can cause the diabetes. The stress at work can aggravate all the pre-existing conditions. The stress at work can destroy the mental health. The stress at work can destroy the relationships. The stress at work can really, really undermine everything else you got going on in your life. So freedom is therapeutic. Being free, I don't know if anybody else in here, I hope you get that experience of knowing what it's like to be free. A lot of us do. A lot of us on some level have experienced that, and it's very therapeutic. A free man is typically going to be happier than a man who's forced to serve someone else. So teach that to your kids. You can let them listen to this conversation. I hope that this benefits somebody. I just wanted to share this because this came to mind this morning as I was talking to this young guy, and I was like, look, man, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then the world's going to force you into a box. So you have a lot of, in fact, a lot of Black boys, they grow up without the discipline of a father. They live in a very undisciplined space because, you've been thinking you were the man of the house since you were 11. And then you get out into the world and you find out that the world won't put up with your lack of discipline. You confront a police officer and you try to behave in the same way, in that same sloppy, undisciplined way. And then bad things can happen because you've now been confronted by a bigger, stronger person than you who doesn't love you like your mama did. So that's why you see a lot of Black boys who don't have the discipline of a father in the household who go out into the streets and bad things happen. Because if you don't discipline yourself, the world will discipline you, and it's not going to be pretty. So that's my 2 cents for today, guys. I hope that this was beneficial to you. I want to let everybody know every morning we do economic consciousness training. It's basically I show you ways to economically elevate yourself. So if you're interested in economic elevation, this class is free. It's 10 a.m. Eastern every single morning, 7 days a week. If you'd like to be notified when we meet, just text the word morning to 87948. and I'll send you an invitation to that Money in the Morning class I just described to you. And I know you're going to love it because we have thousands of people that have signed up, and it's really benefiting a lot of you. So we're going to keep on doing it. And if you want to catch up and go through all the archives of all of the previous trainings that we've done in that class, all the archives, it's about 170 lectures now on economic elevation that will change your life. My PhD's in finance. This is what I do. Feel free to go to drboycedaily.com. That's drboycedaily.com. Or if you just want to join the live sessions, that's totally fine. You can text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. And of course, my main website is boycewatkins.com. All right, guys. So speaking of self-discipline, I got to get disciplined to go and meet up with my wife, and we're going to go running and go handle business today so that we can be healthy and all that other good stuff. So God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.